Well, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And I'm reminded, Pat, of a gentleman. This guy had worked for Intel in the heyday of Intel. So he was an early person in Intel. And I think his stocks were worth $20 million, something like that.
I know who you're talking about.
Okay. He came in and met with me, met with our CPA that we were in office with together, and talking to him, I kind of joked him. I said, "You don't do your own plumbing, do you?" And his wife says, "Yes, he actually does his own plumbing." And I said to him, because he did not have an advisor, didn't see the value of an advisor, kind of wanted to see what we can do. Talk to the CPA.
And how much in Intel stock did he
20,
have?
I mean, it was 25 million.
Okay.
20 somewhat.
It was a lot
million.
of money, a long time ago.
And this was
too.
20 some years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I get a call from, he didn't hire us, didn't hire the CPA. I get a call from him 6-7 years later, somewhere in there. Maybe not that long. Yeah, somewhere there. He had moved to Nevada. And to avoid California income taxes, because Nevada has no taxes. He had sold some of his stock options. If you own just stock, outright stock, and you leave a state and you sell in a new state, you can avoid the capital gains.
Yes.
But in some states, California is one of them, there are certain assets that the appreciation that you enjoyed
while living in the state,
while you not realized, but just the appreciation you enjoyed while living in that state, the state believes that they are subject to that state, California, which is how it worked with these ISO. I believe they were ISOs back in the day. And so he ended up with this $1 million tax bill, more than $1 million tax bill. And he called and asked me about the conversations that we had. And I said, well, number one, I don't recall our conversations, but I said, I don't believe you ever had an engagement with us. Did you hire us?
He was looking for someone to blame.
Correct. And I said, I hate to say this, but had you hired us or some other CPA firm, you could have at least went to California and said, I relied upon advice, and you would have most likely avoided the fees and the interest charge,
but still pay
penalty,
the tax.
but still pay the tax.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
When you use that intel, driving into this show today, I was thinking about Silicon Valley Bank and Mark Schoen and that conversation we had, 3 or 4 weeks ago, where he was able to actually put collars around that Silicon Valley Bank stock for people. And I think, oh my, there are two people that worked in this, this happened.
Yeah.
They worked in offices next to each one. And one of them walked away not as rich as they were hoping to get because they had a diversified portfolio. And at one point in time, their stock was a high flyer. And the other people held on to it and never insisted on or never thought that they needed diversification and walked away with zero. And imagine that happening in you're 55 years of age and you've got $8 million, $10 million in a specific company. Think about all those poor people at Enron. And I always think to myself, is this greed? Is it ignorance?
I don't even know how to. I know in this industry we'd like to talk a lot about greed and fear. I don't know what greed means really. Like we all want to.
As much as we can.
I mean, that's just human nature. So I don't know if that's greedy. I guess if we choose not to share and we're not loving and compassionate and giving, then we're greedy. But if you've got 10 million and you want another 10 million, that's
okay.
I don't know. I wouldn't know if I would call that greedy. If you are a jerk and not grateful and not sharing.
But so Scott, and this might be a little bit too personal, but one of the reasons we took outside capital was
8 years ago.
It was to diversify our own individual portfolios more because the largest portion of my net worth was tied up in a single company stock.
So we preach.
We did what we preach, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Practice what we preach. That's what the
There we
go.
Scott Hansen, the king of the mix metaphor.